It's time for the Amplitude review for the PS4. Just like with the PS2, I thought it was a good time to start diving into non-Nintendo consoles, and yes, this is my first PS4 game to be reviewed. Think of this as the end of the Harmonix Rhythm trilogy. First was Frequency on PS2, then Amplitude, then this game, not a remastered PS2 version, but a reboot. I thought the original didn't need rebooting, but let's see if this game holds up to the unique rhythm fun the previous two had. This game is actually the product of a successful Kickstarter campaign back in 2014 that I helped fund. Along with the game, I got some pretty cool swag, including a poster and a backer t-shirt. I also got a PS2 themed game case for the PS4 game. A little odd, but cool nonetheless. Anyway, back to the game. Amplitude is a rhythm game that has the player control a ship where they move it to different musical tracks on a playing field, all the while shooting blue gems which release the music from the tracks to play a song. Shooting the gems is easily done with the shoulder or face buttons of the controller, but not so easily done is shooting all the gems in a track bar due to the gem quantity and pattern set based on the difficulty setting you chose before beginning. If you've played Frequency and PS2 Amplitude, you should notice right off the bat that the playing field isn't a field like in Amplitude, but a tunnel like in Frequency. However, the tunnel has been enhanced for player experience in that instead of only having one track per instrument or vocals, there are 3 tracks per musical source. This naturally increases the size of the tunnel, making it so you can clearly see which tracks are which due to each one being color coordinated in relation to a specific instrument or vocals, and where the other tracks are in relation to your current position. There are 2 benefits to having multiple tracks of the same musical source. One being that the tunnels have various bends and turns, which can make it challenging to see the upcoming gems to shoot. Moving over to a different track of the same musical source can give you a better vantage point. The second benefit is you can see when power-ups are about to cross your path on different tracks, and you'll have a chance to be able to slide over to the track that has the power-up. Even though the power-up names have changed from the PS2 game, their temporary functions are the same, which include increasing your maximum multiplier to gain more points, slowing down a song so you can hit those crazy gem patterns easier, completely auto-unlocking a track so you don't have to do it yourself, and jumping into a freestyle mode with your ship to add a small remix to the song, all the while increasing your overall score. One huge helpful mechanic is, unlike in the previous 2 games, this Amplitude eases the burden of having to press so many times to reach the next available track, in that your ship will automatically snap to the next track. This is especially helpful in scenarios where instead of pressing multiple times in one direction, you can just press once in the opposite direction to land on the open track. This is a great addition to help the player not lose their multiplier just because they couldn't reach the next track in time. Another helpful mechanic the previous 2 games didn't have is that in this game, you can obtain power-ups not only by successfully shooting the power-up gems, but you can also acquire them by completing the track just before the power-up gems become available. I was honestly a bit confused as to why I was getting power-ups when I first started playing, but quickly noticed I was obtaining them by completing the preceding track they were on. This is an especially helpful gameplay choice that I'm glad the developers made. Most of these power-ups can really help save your ship, however the developers added a multiplier-only difficulty mode called Super, where, as it suggested, only the multiplier power-up is available. The other difficulty modes let you restore your health meter every time you complete a track bar, which is 2 measures of the song, as well as having checkpoints that also restore your health. Super, however, says forget these luxuries. If you're gonna play this, you better be good. No health restoration here. You must complete the song with the most complex gem patterns without any help. Now, the second highest difficulty mode, Expert, has the same gem patterns as Super, but as I said, Super mode doesn't contain any helpfully progressing power-ups and won't restore any health. Get ready for a true challenge if you play this. When it comes to the song library, unfortunately this game has the weakest selection of the 3, which, for me, means the majority of songs are not fun to listen to. There are 30 songs total, but only 9, maybe 10 of them are songs I regularly come back to play. Unlike the previous 2 games, this one actually has a campaign mode where you're trying to revive a coma patient by completing one song after another, and you can unlock bonus songs if you score high enough with the previous set of songs. It's an interesting premise, however the vast majority of songs within the campaign mode are not great, to the point where I'd even say some of them are bad. I'm not talking about the gem patterns, I'm talking about the actual songs themselves. There's only 2 or maybe 3 that are either okay or at least pretty good, but the rest are mostly, we'll say forgettable. The The songs not listed in the main campaign, however, are much better and just generally more fun to play. One of the songs, Do Not Retreat, by Computer Controller, is actually a bonus song that only Kickstarter backers received, and it's arguably one of the best in the game and perhaps my favorite to play. The others I enjoy are songs by Symbian Project, Freeze Pop, Kodomo, and Wolfgun. If you're hoping for a track list consisting of mainstream artists, you'll need to look elsewhere, but if you enjoy variations of EDM, you'll enjoy these relatively unknown but nevertheless great composers and musical groups. Multiplayer is limited to local play, but it's still fun. Like with the previous two games, it pits you against up to 3 others to see who can gain the highest score. With all 3 games, I wish the developers made it so that each player could choose their own difficulty setting, thereby equaling out the challenge among everyone based on their skill level. If I want to play on Expert, but the others want to play on a lower setting, this would even out the challenge as much as possible, but instead, in order to maximize the fun, you have to find someone near the same skill level as you, and since there's no online multiplayer, it's fairly difficult to do so. We did get an online mode, sort of, in the form of online ranking boards. Now you can see how you stack up against other players in each song. Your total combined score is also tallied up on the home screen and shows you where you rank overall. If Harmonix achieved its stretch goal during its Kickstarter campaign, the game would have received an actual online multiplayer mode, but it was about $280,000 short of reaching this goal. Oh well, at least the initial goal to create the game was successful. If not, this video probably wouldn't exist. This reboot is a nice addition to the rhythm genre. The first 2 games had more features with remix options and various multiplayer modes, and while the overall soundtrack for PS4 Amplitude is arguably the weakest of the 3, there are a handful of hidden gems that are really fun to play, and I understand music is subjective, so there could be songs you may enjoy more than I do. It had the potential to be the best of the 3 with an actual online multiplayer mode, and if it got enough support, DLC songs might have been available. Still, it's an enjoyable game and worthy to be included in the Harmonix trilogy, as I call it, and hopefully one day the developers will add more to it, or even a new game can be released. This game gets a 3.75 out of 5 with the title of Good.